Hello and a really warm welcome to today's class. We're going to be starting in a seated position, so coming into a nice comfortable seat on your mat, so finding a cross-leg position. And once we're there, we're just going to adjust and make ourselves sit nice and tall, so maybe just adjusting on our sit bones. And then bringing our hands to our knees, perhaps drawing our chest and our belly forward as we bring that length along our spine. So almost imagining that our spine is this one tall column of energy that we have running from our tailbone along our spine and right out through the crown of our head. Let's bring our shoulders to soften down and away from our ears. And perhaps we can close our eyes here or soften our gaze as we just bring our awareness to our breath. So just spending these first couple of moments just tuning in, bringing ourselves into the present moment, and perhaps taking note of how we're feeling, whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, and just noticing here. Perhaps we can have a look and see, by having a bit of a body scan, where we're holding on to a particular amount of tension, and whether we can just start to soften that and start to let it go, melt away. Noticing the sensations of our breath, the movement of our belly and our chest. And we can maybe offer ourselves that little bit of gratitude today for showing up, for finding time. And when you're ready, we can softly open our eyes and we'll start to move. So staying in our seated position, let's come into some seated cat-cow. So connecting with our breath as we inhale, let's draw our belly and our chest forward. So we're squeezing our shoulder blades together and opening through that chest space there. As we exhale, we'll round through the spine, maybe drawing our chin towards our chest. Inhale to open and exhale to close. Finding a rhythm here as we come in and out of our seated cat-cow. Coming back to center, let's draw some circles now, leaning forward, still keeping that connection with our breath as we inhale to come forwards and exhale to come back. Maybe exploring the movement and adding a little bit of depth each time we come round, if that feels good in your hips. Let's start to take those circles the other way. Inhale to come forwards and exhale to come back. So grounding our hands into our knees here as we come forwards and backwards. And finding stillness, we'll come back to center. We're going to inhale and send our arms out nice and wide. So we're extending from our fingertips as we start to draw some circles with our wrists, releasing our breath. And taking our circles the other way. Guiding our hands back to center now. With an inhale, we're going to swoop our arms up and overhead, extending from our fingertips. Exhale, left hand meets the ground, right hand comes up and over. Inhale to extend. And exhale to repeat on the other side. Fingertips meet the ground. Inhale to lift and lengthen. As we exhale, right hand comes to left knee and left fingertips come just behind us as we twist over to the left, keeping that length along our spine. Inhale to rise. Exhale to repeat other side. Inhale, let's come back to center. Exhale, bringing everything back. We're going to bring ourselves onto all fours now. So we're going to rock ourselves forward, releasing our legs, guiding our knees underneath our hips and our wrists underneath our shoulders. Tops of the feet are grounded on our mat here. As we just notice those pressure points here in our tabletop, through the heels of our hands, through our knees, the tops of our feet. Let's bring that length along our spine by engaging our core, maybe tucking our hips slightly here as we have that column of energy once again. Inhale, we're going to come into our cat-cow as we drop our belly down to the ground or down towards the ground as we lift our tailbone and lift our gaze and chest. Exhale, tucking everything back in, drawing our navel up towards our spine, tucking our tailbone in. Inhale, maybe adding a little roll through our shoulders as we rise. And exhale, maybe tucking our chin to our chest as we close. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Coming back to center and meeting in our tabletop. We're going to curl our toes under. And we're going to start to walk our hands towards our knees and see if we can just bring ourselves to come onto our heels. So a little bit of a stretch through the tops of the feet here. Keeping that length. Stretching through the tops of our feet. Inhale, we'll lift our arms all the way up. And exhale, let's come back into our tabletop, releasing our feet here, giving them a little bit of a rest. If we're going to get cramp, it's going to be here. So finding that rooting, that grounding once again, we're going to curl our toes under. And this time we're going to send our hips all the way up and back, coming into a downward facing dog. So we're going to try and keep that length going. So if that means having our heels nice and high, that's absolutely fine. So we're going to melt our heart down towards the direction of our knees, bringing the tops of our arms in line with our ears. And if you find that you're trying to bring your heels to the ground and that makes you round so much, just add a nice soft bend to the knees and guide that length back along your spine. Bringing our gaze to look forwards, we're going to step our feet up to meet our hands, meeting in a forward fold here. Once again, nice soft knees, releasing our breath. Maybe having our fingertips rooted on the floor, or we can maybe hold on to our elbows, add a nice gentle sway side to side. Coming all the way back to center, fingertips to the earth, bending through our knees as we push through all four corners of our feet to rise up. Coming all the way up to standing here as we meet in our mountain pose, our Tadasana, with our feet hip width apart, our shoulders nice and soft. As we extend through our crown, bringing our hands just to face forwards, framing our hips as we meet here in our mountain pose. With an inhale, let's send our arms up and overhead, gaze coming up to the thumbs. Exhale, let's soften back into our forward fold. As we inhale, let's take a halfway lift. Exhale, bringing our hands to the ground, stepping our feet all the way back into our high plank, pushing the ground away, drawing our navel up towards our spine, keeping our elbows tucked in. We're going to lower all the way onto our belly, tops of the feet meet the mat, as we inhale to lift our chest into a baby cobra. Exhale to release, curling the toes back under. Let's come back up into our downward facing dog, bringing our gaze to look forwards and stepping back up to meet in our fold. Inhale to lift halfway and exhale, forward fold. Inhale to rise, coming all the way up, lifting our arms up and overhead. And exhale, hands come back to frame our hips. Inhale, let's lift and lengthen. Exhale to soften and fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the earth, stepping our feet all the way back, meeting in our high plank, drawing our navel up towards our spine, keeping our elbows tucked in with control. Let's lower all the way to our belly. Tops of the feet meet the mat. Rising up with an inhale to our baby cobra. Releasing back to the ground, sending our hips up and back into our downward facing dog. And bringing our gaze to look forwards as we step our feet back into our fold. Inhale to halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale to rise. Sending our arms up. And exhale. Hands come back to our frame our hips. I nearly said heart center. To frame our hips, palms facing away, rotating through the tops of our arms. Now we're going to bring our palms to heart center, finding our Anjali Mudra, thumbs meeting on the sternum. We're going to shift our weight over to our left foot, so channeling our weight right down that left hand side, rooting that left foot into the earth. We're going to let that right foot drift out behind us as we start to lean forward, finding our warrior three. So that lovely long line from our head right down to our right foot. We are not here for long, because when you are ready, we'll step that right foot right back to the back of our mat. Heel meets the earth. Nice soft bend through that left knee, squaring our hips and our chest forwards with an inhale, drawing our thumbs up and back. Tops of the arms frame our ears as we find a warrior one. Let's open our fingers nice and wide. Connecting with our breath. Finding strength through that front leg. Stability through our back leg. Inhale. As we exhale, let's open our arms into warrior two. So left hand to the front, right hand to the back. Palms facing down, drawing our little fingers back to keep our chest nice and open. Seeing if we can bring our hands in line with our shoulders, and perhaps our gaze follows the length of that left hand. Let's bring the back of the right hand to the small of the back as we lift our left fingertips up and over, coming into our peaceful warrior. Opening that space behind our left knee. Let's guide the back of the left hand to the inside of that left leg as our right fingertips rise as we meet in our triangle. Maybe our gaze is high with that right thumb. And that left hand can be as high as our thigh or as low as the ground, depending on what you feel is right for your body here. Pressing through that left foot will rise up. Right hand meets the back of the right leg as our left fingertips rise up. We're going to guide our hands all the way around to frame that left foot, pivoting on the right foot. We're going to keep on those right toes. As we press through that left foot once again, let's rise off of our thigh to come into our crescent lunge, drawing our thumbs up and back. Inhale. As we exhale, let's bend through our elbows, keeping our palms facing away from us, guiding our elbows in line with our shoulders as we come into our cactus arms here in our crescent lunge. Inhale to extend the arms. Exhale to cactus. 2 more. Inhale to rise. Maybe we have a little shake going on. Exhale. Cactus arms. Last one as we inhale to extend and exhale to cactus. Amazing. We're going to bring our hands around again to frame that left foot. Step that left foot all the way back. Shift forward on our toes and lower all the way to our belly. Tops of the feet meet the mat. Let's rise to our baby cobra, keeping our elbows close to our body. Releasing back to the ground, pushing back into our downward facing dog, pedaling out through the backs of our heels, just allowing our hips to sway from side to side, allowing our head to hang heavy. And then when you're ready, finding stillness, bringing our gaze up to the top of our mat. Let's step back and meet in our forward fold. Holding on to our elbows. Allowing gravity to take hold. And then finding stillness, grounding through our feet. Let's rise up. Nice, big, nourishing breath. And as we exhale, let's guide our hands to frame our hips. Mountain pose, Tadasana. Shoulders soften as we find our grounding and our length. When you are ready, hands come back to heart center, thumbs meet the sternums. We channel our weight through that right leg this time. So really focusing on rooting through that right foot. Once we are there, let's allow that left foot to float out behind us as we lean forwards into that right leg, hinging from our hips. Pressing our thumbs into our heart. And then when you're ready, stepping that left foot to the back of the mat, bringing the heel to the ground, squaring our chest and our hips forwards. With an inhale, let's draw our thumbs up and back, finding our warrior one. Guiding our hands to face one another here. Maybe drawing our thumbs back a little to frame our ears. Keeping that soft bend through that right knee. As we lift and lengthen out through the tops of our fingers. Inhale. As we exhale, let's open to our warrior two. Palms facing the earth. Perhaps our gaze is following that right hand. Almost imagining we're holding a penny between our shoulder blades to keep our chest nice and open as we draw our little fingers back. Leaning slightly into that front hand, bringing the back of the left hand to the small of the back. Let's bring those right fingertips up and over, finding our peaceful warrior. So keeping that right thigh engaged as we use that front leg to help keep our stability, keep our balance. Beginning to open that space behind the right knee, back of the right hand meets the inside of that right leg as our left fingertips open up and come to extend towards the ceiling. Maybe our gaze tracks that left thumb. And then rising up. Left hand meets the back of the left leg as our right fingertips rise. Keeping with those deep, mindful breaths. Windmilling our arms all the way back around to frame that right foot. Pivoting on those left toes now. We're going to keep on those toes. And we're going to press through that right foot to lift our belly off of our thigh as we draw our thumbs up and back, crescent lunge. So using our back leg to help support us here as we lift and lengthen right up through our fingertips. Inhale and exhale to open to our cactus arms. Inhale to lift, 2 more. Exhale to cactus. Inhale to lift. And exhale to cactus arms. Releasing our hands. Let's bring our hands back to frame that right foot. We're going to step that right foot back, and then we're going to guide our knees down to the ground. Tops of the feet meet the mat as we come back into our cat-cow flow. As we inhale to drop our belly and exhale to round. 2 more. Inhale and exhale. Last one, maybe a bit more depth as we inhale to sink and exhale to round. Adding an extra little step to our cat-cow now as we inhale here, bringing our sit bones down to our heels. And exhale back to tabletop. Inhale. And exhale back to tabletop. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale back to tabletop. Inhale to sink and soften. And exhale to rise. Bringing ourselves onto our bellies here now. We're going to bring the tops of our feet to meet the ground as we send our fingertips just to frame our yoga mat. So it's just coming just over shoulder width apart, framing our yoga mat, keeping our elbows and our fingertips, as grounded and our elbows lifted as we inhale to lift our chest. A few little cobra rolls here. Exhale to roll back down. Inhale to lift. And exhale to lower. Finding a nice little flow here. Keeping our connection to our breath. Coming back to center, guiding our hands back underneath our shoulders. We're going to push back onto our knees. And we're going to swoop our legs from underneath us and come back to meet on our sit bones. Just keeping our knees bent here to begin with. We're going to tuck our left leg in and send our right leg out long. So we're coming into our seated tree here. So bringing that left foot and tucking it to the upper part of our right thigh. Grounding through our right heel and sending our right toes to point up towards the ceiling. Once we're there, inhale, we're going to extend all the way up. Exhale, left hand comes to the ground and right fingertips rise, keeping that grounding through that right foot. Switching sides, bringing that right hand down to meet the right shin as our left fingertips come up. Left hand comes down, right fingertips rise. Maybe this time as we guide that right hand down, it can maybe come down to meet that right foot. As we stay here for 3 breaths, gaze looking up, or we can keep it centered, finding what feels right for you here. Slowly coming out, let's guide that right knee in, coming into our butterfly, bringing our heels and our feet to meet here. We're going to guide our knees out to the side, holding on to our feet as we allow gravity to take over here, allowing our knees to come out towards the ground, holding on to our feet, maybe guiding our toes off the ground, keeping our spine nice and tall. We can keep it still, we can add a little bit of a side to side movement or a bounce if that feels good. Coming back up, we're going to keep our right leg in, and this time we're going to send our left leg out nice and long, tucking that right foot to the top part of our left thigh, grounding through the left heel and sending our toes up towards the ceiling. Inhale to lift and lengthen our arms up towards the sky. Exhale, right fingertips come down to the mat as our left fingertips come to the sides, a little bit of a side stretch. We're going to start to repeat on the other side. Left fingertips come to the shin, right fingertips rise. Inhale, right fingertips down, left fingertips up. Exhale, perhaps our left hand comes to the foot as our right fingertips rise. We are here for 3 breaths. Coming back to center, we're going to swoop that left leg in and we're going to have our feet planted just in front of us. We're going to bring our arms out in front and using as much control as possible as we round through our spine, we're going to guide ourselves all the way onto our back. So with control, until we come all the way onto our backs. And once we're there, let's just shuffle our heels a little closer, lift our hips and tuck them underneath just to close any space that's creeped in underneath our lower back. We're going to guide our knees in to hug towards our chest as we find our Apanasana, our knees to chest. Perhaps a little rock from side to side. Maybe close our eyes here. We allow our breath just to come back to its natural rhythm. We've done some good deep breathing today. And then finding that stillness, we're going to send our legs out nice and long. So we're coming into our final shape, Harshavasana, grounding our heels onto the yoga mat. And then bringing our hands just to lay and frame our hips with our palms facing up towards the ceiling. Let's allow our eyes to drift closed as we allow our feet just to roll out to the sides as we begin to let go of any tightness or tension we might be holding through our legs. And allowing our breath to come back to its natural rhythm as we notice the gentle rise and fall of our belly and our chest as we move through each cycle of breath. Let's allow our shoulders to go a little softer and maybe draw them down our back a little so we have some more space between our shoulders and our ears. Allowing our arms just to find stillness. Maybe tucking our chin to our chest a little further, releasing any pressure on the back of our neck. Beginning to soften your jaw, releasing your tongue away from the roof of your mouth. Relaxing that space just between your eyebrows. As I just now invite you to take the deepest breath you have taken all day so far, in through the nose, and sigh it out through the mouth. Feel free to stay here for as long as you need. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Namaste.